Yoma Daf Chavav. Today's email comes from Eli Cohen, and he says, "My dear friend Mendel Lakin got me hooked when I was halfway through Psachim, and I've been addicted since. The charts are powerful memory aids, and your method of delivery is so engaging. Additionally, the social aspect is lovely. It's so beautiful to see the Havas Yisrael." And in parentheses, he says, "when you aren't embarrassing members of the shir or throwing things at them." I attended the Siyum. I attended the 12:15 a.m. shir in Muncie. I sponsored a daf. I even recruited Ginsburg with the free art scroll Yoma Gemara. But today, while watching, I heard that one isn't officially an MDY family member until you send an email. How could I be tifresh min hatzibur for even one moment? I stopped the YouTube video and immediately wrote this email. Hope this does the trick. Eli Cohen, Pomona, New York. Thank you, Eli. So Yoma Daf Chavav, we're discussing the lotteries, the different lotteries, and our Mishnah says that the third lottery comes to see which kohen will be zoicha to bring the k'tayres of that day. And they would announce, this lottery is only for those who have never won the lottery before, have never performed the k'tayres, because k'tayres has the ability to make one wealthy, and we want to give everybody a chance. How do we know that it makes somebody wealthy? Because it says in the pasuk, Yosimu k'tayr ba'pecha, which is referring to k'tayres. It continues, V'chalil al mizbechecha, which is referring to naila. And the following pasuk says, Borech Hashem chaylai, you'll have a bracha. But that bracha doesn't apply to the second part of the pasuk of Ayla, because Ayla is something that's very common, it's done many times a day. It doesn't make sense, says Rashi, that this bracha will go to every single kohen in the world. Rava says a concept. When a Talmid Chacham has the ability to paskin a halacha, and the halacha is like him, that Talmid Chacham must be from Shevet Levi or Shevet Yisachar. Rabbi Yochanan says a tremendous chiddush. The one who's zoicha in the carbon tamid of the morning, he is zoicha also in the carbon tamid shel bein harabayim. But on Shabbos, where we change the mishmares, there's an ingoing and outgoing mishmar, so we have to redo the lottery for the outgoing mishmar to see which one will be zoicha in the tamid shel bein harabayim. However, k'tayres, on a daily basis, there are two lotteries, one for the morning k'tayres and one for the evening k'tayres. The fourth lottery is to see who's going to bring the limbs that are laying on the ramp of the Mizbeach onto the Mizbeach. And this mandama holds, Roiv Am Hadris Melech, the more kohanim involved in the Avodah, the better. But according to Rabbi Yaakov, it's the same exact kohen who placed the Eivarim on the Kevesh. He brings those Eivarim after he says Kriya Shema on to the Mizbeach. And the reason is because we don't want it to look as if bringing the Eivarim is a tircha, it's too much, it's a burden, and he placed it there and it's too hard for him and somebody else takes over. So to review, these are the four different lotteries. One for Trumas Hadeshin, one for the Tamid to go halfway up the ramp, one for K'tayres, and according to Rabbi Yaakov, the fourth one is who's going to be Zaycha to do the second part of the K'tayres, that's to bring the coals, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, who's going to be Zaycha to go from halfway of the Kevesh up into the Mizbeach. Now, if there's a Manda Omar anywhere that says that there are 5 lotteries, then obviously it cannot be going according to Rabbi Yaakov and not according to Rabbi Yehuda. Says the Mishnah, typical Tamid requires 9 kohanim, 5 to bring up the limbs, 1 to bring up the intestines, 1 for the flour, 1 for the chavit kohen gadol, and 1 for the wine. On Sukkot, it's not 9, we add 1 more because there's the water for Nisuch HaMayim. Every single evening of a weekday, there's 11 kohanim, because we have to add 2 kohanim to bring up the gzirei eitzim, the 2 pieces of wood. On Shabbos, there's also 11 for a different reason, to bring the 2 spoonfuls of the levina, of the frankincense. On Shabbos Sukkot, in addition to the 11, there's a 12th one, the water for the Nisuch HaMayim, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, there's a 13th one, because the kohen who brings up the Ivarim from the Kevesh to the Mizbech is not the same kohen who brought it up to the Kevesh. From our Mishnah, you could see that we don't do Nisuch HaMayim on Sukkot in the evening, because otherwise, on Chalamayid Sukkot, in the evening, you have to have 12 kohanim for the water. So you see, you don't do Nisuch HaMayim in the evening. And there's also a story that proves this, because there's a tzduki. The tzdukim hold that you don't do Nisuch HaMayim at all. So he took the water on Sukkot in front of everybody and poured it on his feet on top of the Mizbeach. So the nation, the people that were there, took their esrogim and threw it at him. From the fact that the Gemara tells us what they threw an esrog to teach us that that is a story that happened only in the morning, because only in the morning you do Nisuch HaMayim. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai says, from the fact that the Torah uses a double lashon, ubir and va'archu, but ubir is singular, archu is plural, but it's also 2 different words. So we learn from here a big chiddush. that the Tamid Shel Shachar, the one in the morning, one kohen, a single kohen, brings the 2 pieces of wood. However, the Tamid Shel Ben Arbayim requires 2 kohanim to bring the same 2 pieces of wood. There are other oilos, not only the kevesh, the sheep, there's an ayil, a ram, which is between 13 months and 2 years old. It's also an oila, but it requires more kohanim, it requires 11 kohanim. There's an additional 3 kohanim to the regular carbon, because the krovayim, the intestines are heavier, the soilus is double, and the yain is double, so you need another 3 kohanim. But there's no chavid kohen gadol, so therefore we don't count that. If you're bringing a para for an oila, you need 22 kohanim. Each leg, the back leg, needs 2. The aikets, the tail, and whatever it entails, also 2. The gera, the neck, requires 3. Each hand requires 1. Each flank requires 1. So total of 15. The krovayim, soilus v'yayin, each one needs 3 because it's double the amount of the ayil. An individual could decide, I want to use my own friend to do all the avodas and not require any lottery whatsoever. Have a wonderful day.